Hi, y'all. Welcome or welcome back to the channel for another weekly horoscope. Mercury leaves retrograde at 1 a.m. my time, which is like midnight. I think like just after midnight Pacific or like really close to 1 a.m. Pacific. So excited. So excited. This has been one hell of a Mercury retrograde. I am moving. My place is a mess. Everything's in boxes. I have 2 days left in this home, and then I will be leaving. I don't know where my next spot is yet. So next week, this week will be truly a new beginning for me, and I expect for everyone. I feel like we've closed out a big cycle and a big chapter this last week and moving on from something major, maybe in a very chaotic or unexpected way than what we thought was going to happen or how we thought things were going to go. But we did wrap it up, and now is the time where we're truly moving on. Um, and I anticipate that's just like gonna continue throughout this week because we have a Grand Trine between Mars, Uranus, and Pluto. That's gonna last for a little bit. Mars kind of moves more slowly than the other inner planets. If you've taken my Become an Astrologer course, then you already know this. Mars moves signs every 2 months, whereas Mercury and Venus and the Sun move signs every month. So whenever something is aspecting Mars, it kind of takes a little bit to cycle through. It can last up to 2 weeks. So that's why when we had that South Node Mars conjunction in Virgo mid-July, it lasted until basically the end of July because Mars doesn't move. Well, Mars moves a degree every 2 days. So it's a little bit more of the slower moving inner planets. And then we have, like I said, that Grand Trine between Mars and Libra, Pluto and Aquarius, Uranus and Gemini. We also have Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune. So that's going to last a little bit too. Um, I think though, like I talked about, I posted a video on my TikTok recently about this, and I talked about this in I do a full moon workshop every month in my inner circle membership. I talked about this for the full moon in Aquarius. We have a lot of harmonious aspects going on in the sky. We have a kite, which is a very rare aspect happening between most of the outer planets. We also have a Venus Jupiter conjunction this week. So there is harmony despite the challenges or the conflicts or whatever we're facing that like feels like tension or friction or challenge, right? There are good things that are coming from it. It's not just all doom and gloom. It's not just all bad. We've really gone through like the worst of it, I would say. And this week is really going to show us how deeply supported we are in having the new beginning and in moving forward on whatever it is that we are starting anew. For me, it's happening in like pretty much every area of my life. I feel like I've stepped into a new sense of self, a new identity in a way, and it's bothering me that the camera is blurry right now, but whatever. uh, Anyways, my home is changing, my sense of self is changing, my relationships are changing, what I'm doing for like work on a daily basis is changing, like everything about my life pretty much is changing. That's me personally. So yeah, I'm really excited. This is like this past week was kind of the first time I felt a sense of like excitement for all the changes that are happening in a really long time. I feel like this year has been such a rough year of endings and of like karmic cycles closing out in like the most like the deepest, most intense ways possible. And it just finally feels like I'm coming out of that. And I think we're all in a similar place right now of finally coming out of whatever darkness or cycle or whatever we felt stuck in. I think this is the week where we start to feel like things are really shifting and moving forward in ways we've been wanting all year. Maybe for a year, because I know I've kind of been in that energy for a year. Like it was this time last year that I put all my stuff into storage and moved to France on a whim. But anyways, so this week, like I said, about new beginnings, we have a lot of positive stuff that's kind of outweighing the bad or like negative stuff that's going on, in my opinion. So let's get into the rising sign horoscopes. If you're watching live, hi. Hi, La Luna Del Mar. I'm so excited you're here live. Um, I sold my desk, so I'm in a new setup today for this live, which I will be in a new setup like every live moving forward because I don't have a home yet. I'm probably gonna Airbnb it, so we're just rolling with the changes. I'm like out of sorts. I'm like, when you have a habit set up somewhere. Have you all read the book Simple Habits? That book changed my life, or Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits changed my life. Like I had my whole desk and office set up, and now that I'm like at my dining table, I'm like, wait, what do I do? Like, how do I share the chart? Like, what's going on? We're on live now. Like, it's very disorienting. Anyways, that's Uranus and Gemini. Okay, Aries Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 12th house. This could be some realization around like subconscious wounds, patternings, and things like that, and how you want to move in a new direction, possibly with spirituality or creativity as well. You might get this emotional clarity at the beginning of the week around whatever that is, especially because the moon on Monday is going to be harmonizing with the Venus Jupiter conjunction we have going on in your 4th house. You might be feeling more rejuvenated in your home, some sort of renewal in your home, or moving and finding a better home that suits your needs, that kind of thing. Mercury is now direct, thank God, in your 5th house of creative passions, but it's still opposite Pluto in your 11th. So there could be some conversations you need to have with community or friendships, maybe about creative passions or projects, or maybe you're feeling like this renewal of energy around sharing your creative passions or projects and really stepping into that in a new way that maybe Mercury retrograde gave you clarity around. Then on Tuesday, the moon moves into your 1st house. This is kind of like an emotional renewal. It will be on Saturn and Neptune, and it will be opposite Mars and Libra. So maybe just watch out for aggression from other people in your life. There could be on Tuesday this opportunity or this risk for emotional aggression. So just kind of watch out for that. But I do feel like again you're going to feel this emotional renewal and get clarity around maybe things that have been foggy or felt foggy around you, your identity, your sense of self. Then on Wednesday there could be something that comes up that triggers a wound around that. There could be just some Wednesday into Thursday, some wound you're healing emotionally around yourself, your body image, maybe even related to what you're doing creatively or what you're starting to share and put out into the world as it relates to your passions and things that bring you joy. On Thursday, we have the moon moving into Taurus. It's going to challenge Mercury and Pluto. There could be something that comes up around your finances. Maybe, again, this creative passion that you're embarking on is tied into that in some way, and you're like very emotionally driven Thursday and Friday. Really the second half of the week to put energy into whatever this venture is, to really make it work, to really provide you with financial stability in whatever ways you've been craving. Then as we get into Friday, we have the 3rd quarter moon in Taurus. It's going to be, a 3rd quarter moon is when the moon squares the sun after it was a full moon. So, and before it's a new moon. So this is really about wrapping up things that came up around the full moon and putting those things into action and getting a plan established, or really embodying and implementing all the things you've gotten clarity around this whole week. And for you, Aries, like this focus, this emotional focus and this emotional like wrapping up of a cycle relates directly to your resources. And maybe again, you moved, and so you're having to purge stuff and really just only allowing yourself to box up and take with you like what really has value to you, what you really deem as worthy of having in your life. And maybe you'll sell whatever doesn't, right? It's kind of like this maybe big purge around your possessions. And maybe that'll positively benefit your finances in the short term and in the long term somehow. As we get into Saturday and into the weekend, the moon is going to be moving through Gemini in your 3rd house. It's going to go over Uranus midday on Saturday and harmonize with Mars and Pluto that are a part of that Grand Trine we have going on. So there could be some positive change or transformation within your friends, your community, siblings, family, any relationships. I feel like is going to experience some positive and sudden emotional shift and change as we get into the weekend. It could be again related to everything else that's been coming up for you, and it's kind of like all working together cohesively to provide you with clarity so that you can move forward in the ways you want to. So that's the week ahead for you, Aries. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Taurus rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 11th house. You could be getting emotional clarity around like creative passions and pursuits as it relates to what you want to do in the long term. I really feel like there's some creative passion or project that you've been working towards or wanting to, and you might get this sense of emotional clarity around that early in the week. Then as we get into Tuesday, well, first, there's so much happening on Monday. I feel like every single week, Monday is like the one that's jam-packed with stuff happening. We also have on Monday the Venus-Jupiter conjunction, which is your chart ruler, Taurus. In your third house, you could be really feeling this renewed sense of communication or belief systems, or like just feeling really supported by the people around you in some way. Maybe you finally are learning to like speak up for your needs when it comes to that, and so you really are receiving the support you need. It just feels like there's this good energy around your kind of day-to-day people you talk to, where you go, who's around you, that kind of thing. And it might tie into this creative venture that you're embarking on, and making these changes around your money, your work, and your career as it relates to that. Then we get into Tuesday. The moon moves into your 12th house, into Aries. It's going to oppose Mars in your 6th. So there could be something that, again, you're embarking on this new journey as it relates to work, but there could be something pulling you deeper into yourself, like your subconscious, to really heal, to look at any patternings that maybe are contributing to things you just don't want in your life, that are like replaying, like cycles that you're tired of living out over and over. So there could be an emotional kind of pullback Tuesday, Wednesday, as you get clarity around what's going on in your subconscious emotionally, and maybe just prioritize focusing on it, especially on Wednesday, later on Wednesday, as the moon is going to move over Chiron in your 12th house, and it will trine, it will harmonize with the sun in Leo. So you could also maybe like work through those wounds, or work through these things, or spend time around family, somebody in your home, related to your home, that helps you to get clarity around what that subconscious block or belief or pattern is, that you're like, why does this keep happening? Like, why do I keep living this out? And it's like somebody helps you and provides you with clarity related to your home, your family life, that kind of thing. But then as we get into Thursday, there is this emotional renewal as the moon moves into your first house, and leaves Chiron. It feels like this kind of like, okay, aha moment, like this epiphany. Maybe you might get an epiphany around something you've been wanting to do or working on. Again, it's all kind of tied into how are you making these changes that you want to in your career in a way that is beneficial to you and your life moving forward, and really like the structure that you have for your life as well, the systems that you have in place. Um, but there could be some challenging things, maybe earlier on Thursday, as the moon is going to challenge Pluto and Mercury. It could be like you feel this emotional renewal, but it's at conflict with what's going on in your career. It's at conflict with what's going on in your home. But it's easier to navigate because Mercury isn't retrograde anymore in your 4th house. So I do feel like there might be this moment of frustration or challenge, but moon transits never last long. So it could just feed into that clarity and that healing you've been receiving and doing for yourself. Then as we get into Friday, we have the 3rd quarter moon in Taurus, which is the moon challenging the sun. And oh my God, it's like a gnat or something. Um, this is really like the energy of taking action on everything you've been getting clarity around thus prior, and maybe even around the full moon too. Like you're wrapping up the cycle, you're taking action, you're implementing what needs to be let go of, what do I need to start doing in order to have this new beginning. And that just kind of builds as we get into the weekend as well, and the moon moves into Gemini, into your 2nd house. You might be emotionally focused on money over the weekend as this is happening, and maybe again implementing those changes and things in your career, in your work, in your day-to-day, in order to have space for more money to come in, for there to be positive changes there. So that's the week ahead for you, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Gemini Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 10th house on the North Node. So you might get some emotional clarity Monday into Tuesday around like what direction you're headed in your career. There might be some, after Mercury goes direct early on Monday, there might be some aha moment that you like wake up with, or maybe you have like a dream about something and it just gives you this clarity, or you just wake up with this sense of like feeling clear and feeling like, yes, this is what I'm going to do. Maybe also you have a conversation with someone that helps you to establish that clarity. You have so much support right now through your community, through your friend group, so that you can lean on that whenever you're feeling like, I need to talk this out with somebody or something. I feel like having Mercury go direct is going to help with that. Then as we get into Tuesday, we also have, there's so much going on this week. I keep forgetting stuff, but we also have Venus on Jupiter in your second house. So this could be a really good time to expand what's going on with your finances, whether that's asking for a raise or changing jobs to have a higher salary or whatever, or make more money. This, if you are an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, this is the time. This is the time to be acting on that, because Venus and Jupiter in your second house, harmonizing with the North Node and Pisces in your 10th house. I mean, like, this is the energy of starting the business, of putting yourself out there, of like building the bricks, brick by brick, building the house of whatever change you're embarking on and new beginning you're creating in your career. It's very, very, very divine timing for you right now to be doing that kind of thing if you have been feeling the call. Then as we get into Wednesday, actually later on Tuesday, the moon's going to move into Aries. It'll oppose Mars and it'll go over Saturn and Neptune. This could maybe be some tension or friction between that creative like outlet that you're doing, or what you're creating and sharing, and maybe something with like tech or with social media or with like your community in general. There might be some emotional challenge you have to overcome later on Tuesday around whatever all of that is. But again, you do have like the support you need. So it's just about remembering that and not getting overly focused on things when there is tension or when there is friction. Then on Thursday, we have the moon moving over Chiron. So there could be some emotional healing thing that happens within your community or with social media. Maybe a friendship as well just provides you with some emotional space to heal something that you've been really deeply diving into, maybe even around your identity or your appearance or things like that. Mercury is now retrograde in your third house, or Mercury is now direct in your third house. So it is really the time to be, like I said, sharing yourself, sharing your ideas, putting yourself out there. But there might be something on Friday that comes up around that as the moon moves into your 12th house and challenges Pluto and Mercury. There could be some limiting belief that comes up, that you all of a sudden, like, it's very clear to you what it is. Like, as an example, to make this practical, it's like if you start showing up on social media, then that you are really made aware of like this belief that is within you of like, no one wants to listen to me, no one wants to hear me, that kind of thing. Like, none of that is true, it's all bullshit. But I feel like you're gonna get this epiphany around whatever it is that maybe has been blocking you, or whatever is still there to kind of look at and emotionally like clear out, so that it's not creating that reality for you. Because this is about taking action. This time is about taking action for you. But it's like, if you're going to be spinning your wheels, if you're taking action from a place that's still rooted in limiting beliefs that don't serve you. Then as we get into the weekend, we're going to have the third quarter moon in Taurus, which is going to be in your 12th house again. That could be the time where you see this belief and you're like, okay, I really have to work through this. I really have to shift how I see this, how I view this, because it is contributing to what I'm experiencing within my work and within my career and within my self-expression. Then later on Saturday, the moon moves into your first house, into Gemini, over Uranus. It's going to harmonize with Mars and Pluto. So this is kind of the energy of emotional renewal as we get later into the weekend, for you specifically, Gemini. It's like this, again, you've done the kind of subconscious work that came up to do Friday and Saturday. And then there's like this emotional renewal and really big shift of energy that happens within your sense of self, also related to your belief system, also related to your career and all this other stuff that's going on. It's very intertwined. So that's the week ahead for you, Gemini. Very exciting. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Cancer Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 9th house on the North Node. You could be getting some emotional clarity early in the week around something you want to do, like some educational pursuit, or maybe this is about your philosophies of life and your belief systems. Maybe you have really embarked on some kind of healing journey as it relates to your body, but also your mind, and however that applies and shows up for you. It could be a pullback to spirituality in some sense, or maybe a reinvigoration of your spiritual, how do I say that? Like your relationship with spirituality. Um, this is also harmonizing with Venus and Jupiter, which are going conjunct in your first house. This is very big energy of like you and feeling like this is the time to get a photo shoot. Like if you need pictures for your website or for anything like that, like, or just for you, like to put on your wall or something, this is a time to get a photo shoot because you're going to be feeling yourself. You're going to be looking good. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Now, Mercury is also direct in your second house, so there could be some clarity you've received around your finances, possessions, money, food, maybe even in some way. Then, as we get into Tuesday, the moon is going to move into Aries in your 10th house, and it's going to be opposite Mars in your fourth house. There could be something that happens that's kind of emotionally frustrating within either your career or your home or both, that like something happens in either one or both, and you feel like you're torn between the two places. You're torn between your home, you're torn between your career, but the emotional pull is in your career, and just staying disciplined with whatever you're building there or whatever is going on there, and not getting kind of like dragged through the mud with whatever is going on in your home or your family life, as much as you possibly can. Like don't let it get you down too much. As we get into Wednesday and Thursday, the moon is going to move over Chiron in your 10th house. So again, there could be something emotionally that comes up that maybe is a little bit triggering around your career or something like that, or your public reputation or image, maybe dealing with like an unhappy customer or something. But I do feel like it's going to bring up some trigger or wound that maybe you didn't know was there, and give you the opportunity to heal it and move on from it so that it doesn't really ever happen again. um, it could positively benefit your money somehow too. Like all of a sudden you get a raise, and then like the money thing, it feels like it comes first, the money thing. Like all of a sudden you get a raise, and then you're like, wait, am I even worthy to make this amount of money? That's kind of what this energy is. Then later on Thursday, the moon moves into Taurus into your 11th house. It's going to challenge Mercury and Pluto in your second and eighth. So again, that could bring up kind of themes around feeling supported by resources, by money, um, by people, and really allowing it in, and maybe ways that you subconsciously have been kind of blocking. Um, as we get into the weekend, we're gonna have the third quarter moon in Taurus on Saturday. That can also bring up more themes around money, but I do feel like there's gonna be some emotional support that comes in through your community, or maybe it's social media, and you're like seeing things that are gonna help you change whatever limiting belief was holding you back from this or came up around this. Again, there is like emotional support around it, even though it feels challenging in the moment and not very comfortable. um that discomfort is temporary to create space for your greater healing. Later on Saturday, the moon moves into Gemini into your 12th house. There could be again some sudden shift and change within your subconscious, within your belief systems, that also positively benefits whatever's happening in your home and whatever's happening with like your money, either investments or real estate, or something like that, like where money is coming in for you. There could be some positive emotional shift around that related to the belief system and mindset work you've been kind of doing and healing. Really, that's been a focus this past week. So, but I feel like you're going to be getting noticed a lot this week, Cancer, because of the Venus Jupiter conjunction on your ascendant, depending on where your ascendant is in Cancer. But that's the week ahead for you. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Leo rising. Mercury is now direct in your first house. Thank God. I do feel like this is going to create whenever Mercury goes direct, it's like, okay, what did we reassess? What did we reflect on? And how do we move forward with that? So I do feel like there's this renewal when it comes to you, how you're expressing yourself. And maybe even your mindset related to you too. Like if you've been dealing with self-esteem stuff or just feeling not your normal self, this is going to shift that. But it's also brought to the surface what about your mindset and how you communicate with yourself that has created those kind of self-esteem or identity issues. So it's kind of like you're more feeling yourself, but it's because of you, and you have to be your own best cheerleader and talk to yourself that way, to have those shifts and to integrate these things that you reassess during the past 3 weeks. Um, Also on Monday, there's so much going on Monday. The moon is on the north node in your eighth house. You could get clarity about some situation involving your finances, your money, your resources. It does feel like there's emotional clarity around where you're headed. Also, Venus and Jupiter conjunct in your 12th house. This could bring up maybe something emotionally that was hidden from you, and you get that clarity of like, okay, this is where I want to go, this is where I'm moving forward, this is like what I have this clarity on this path, this is where I'm taking things. And it also makes you aware of maybe again like what was going on in your subconscious, like what was hidden from you. And it's kind of bringing things to light about your maybe core wounds within relationships or within worthiness or within your values and maybe money as well. So I do feel like there's this emotional clarity that comes, and then you move forward with that clarity as we get further into the week. On Tuesday, the moon moves into your ninth house, into Aries. It's going to oppose Mars, move over Saturn and Neptune. Again, this is really the energy of emotional clarity around something that's felt really challenging for you, around something that's felt like you've had to really put a lot of discipline into. Maybe this is your communication style. Again, like maybe there were things you weren't aware of that now you're aware of, and you're like, oh, I should have handled that differently, or this is how I really should go about that. And I need to like speak that. I need to really, it's almost like this clarity has come that's like, I think I was the problem in that situation. And you're really seeing it differently early in the week and how to kind of make amends. There is a lot of harmony right now between your relationships, your communication, and your friend group. So that might also come in through somebody in your life that mirrors that back to you of like, hey, like maybe you should have approached this differently, or here's maybe a better way to approach this to have more balance in whatever it is, or have more harmony within whatever it is, and just be a little bit more graceful about it. But that could not be a super pretty realization at first, because it kind of maybe challenges something about you. Again, it's like these belief systems related to your sense of self are coming up. Thursday, there could be something emotionally that really triggers late on Wednesday or into Thursday. There could be something that really emotionally triggers you within your belief systems and just how you're viewing life. Um, there could be this sense of like, okay, I really have to like change how I'm viewing things, right? Again, it's all about what clarity have you received during Mercury retrograde? How do you want to move forward on that? What needs to change about the way you're viewing life? Maybe it's just being a little bit more like optimistic or about what's coming up for you and how you're navigating all of these changes that are happening, because they are happening for your highest good, but it is hard to see that when you're in it, and it's very uncomfortable at first. Later on Thursday and into Friday, the moon moves into your 10th house. So there could be this emotional revelation about your career, related to how you're communicating and to yourself and as yourself, maybe related to your relationships too and what's going on there, the transformation that's happening. But there could, at first, later on Thursday, feel like there's a lot of friction between all of those areas of your life. It does feel like the release of that is through your home in some way, whether that's like organizing, clearing out clutter, getting rid of stuff, that kind of thing. Like it sounds counterintuitive maybe, but it is going to help you emotionally, kind of balance the challenges that may come up on later on Thursday and into Friday. But then into the weekend, we do have a third quarter moon between in Taurus in your 10th house. So this could be the energy of like wrapping up, again, you got the clarity. How do you want to move forward with it? You could get answers around your career or what new things are happening for you. It's really this energy right now for you, Leo rising, of like renewal. Um, Almost like you're coming out of winter, which sounds weird because we're about to head into winter, but that's That's the energy. It's like you're coming out of a fog in a lot of ways. There could be some emotional breakthrough or clarity later on Saturday as well, maybe again related to a conversation you have with a friend or something like that. That just gives you more understanding of like what's going on within in your relationships that maybe has felt deeply transformative, as well as your communication style and your belief systems. So that's kind of a lot, but that's the week ahead for you, Leo. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Virgo rising. We start the week off with the moon in your seventh house on your north node or on the north node. Maybe you have your north node there as well, but it'll be on the north node. This is like the energy of emotional clarity around a direction you want to head in your relationships. So there might be something that, you know, you're really emotionally focused on your relationships, and there might be something that gives you this extra oomph of clarity around where to go with your relationships moving forward, how to approach them moving forward. This is harmonizing with Venus and Jupiter and Cancer in your 11th as well. So there's a lot of community support for you right now. There's a lot of people in your life that are supporting you, maybe out of the blue, but it's like it's giving you clarity about where you're headed with everything, and with the people you have and you're choosing to surround yourself with. Mercury is now direct in your 12th house, so there might be a lot of clarity and answers around maybe some subconscious mindset stuff that you've been working on, maybe related to the transformation or changes that are happening in your work, as well as your money and your career. As we get into Tuesday, the moon moves into Aries in your 8th house. There could be this emotional understanding or emotional kind of renewal around your resources, your finances, your money, maybe something you've been working really hard to do, pay off debt, pay off taxes, or whatever it is. It feels like there's this emotional, like, okay, this is how I'm going to move forward with this energy. There could be unexpected finances that come in, and you're like, okay, I have had a plan for what I'm going to do with these, and it's this good feeling of like it all clicks together into place, and there's this energy of, I keep wanting to say renewal and rejuvenation, like for everybody's readings, and like that's just what it feels like, which is such a breath of fresh air after the challenging transits we've had for the last I don't even know, like the whole year. um Also on Wednesday, the moon is going to challenge the Venus Jupiter conjunction, so there could be something emotionally also that's like triggered or challenging about what's happening with your resources. It may be, yeah, I don't know exactly. It could be someone you thought was going to come through for you and doesn't, or something like that. Like there's a lot of big feelings, and then there's like this emotional letdown. There's this maybe feeling of disappointment temporarily, but also you're seeing the brighter side of it. You're like, okay, actually this does benefit me, even if it was frustrating to deal with in the moment. Um, that could continue. There could be something around that heals you emotionally on Wednesday into Thursday, as the moon moves over Chiron, and harmonizes with the sun in your 12th house. There could be, again, this like subconscious breakthrough, this limiting belief breakthrough, this deeper understanding of what's going on within you that's creating this reality that you want to kind of make changes to in whatever ways. Then as we get into Thursday morning, and into middle day Thursday, the moon is in Taurus in your ninth house. It's challenging Pluto and Mercury in your sixth and your 12th. So again, this could be some deeper look at your subconscious, maybe related to what you're doing to bring in money, maybe related to your belief systems as well, and maybe this philosophy of life that like I have to work really hard or the money's not going to come, and it's kind of like seeing things differently, transforming something about your belief system there. Then as we get into Friday and into, trying to see, there's really not, well, on Friday, the moon is going to harmonize with the Venus Jupiter conjunction. So again, this shift in your perspective could also shift the support you're receiving, either through social media, through your friends, through your community, or just give you more clarity around your long-term goals and visions. And like I said, I think a little bit ago, where you're headed with everything and all these changes that are coming up for you to act on and implement at a subconscious level. Friday into Saturday, the moon's gonna challenge the sun in Leo. This is a third quarter moon in your ninth house. So this could be, again, this like wrapping up of like, okay, I'm really letting this old belief system and way I'm viewing life die. I'm really letting it go so that I can start anew. And then as we get out of the weekend, later on Saturday, actually, the moon is going to move over Uranus in your 10th house. So there could be this emotional renewal. There could be this emotional breakthrough, like epiphany, aha moment around your career, money, and what you're doing to kind of organize that and bring everything into fruition for you that has been probably building for some time, Virgo. So that is your week ahead. Very exciting stuff. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Libra Rising. First thing that's coming through for my fellow Libra Risings is pick your battles. Mars in the first house can really tend towards aggression. So just channel it into something. Um, but we start the week off with the moon on the north node in your sixth house. There could be this emotional sense of clarity around your creative pursuits and work life and what you want to do on a daily basis for work. Excuse me, related to your career and how you're showing up there. I mean, Venus, your chart ruler, conjunct Jupiter, the ruler of your sixth house and the ruler of your third house in your area of career is like she went viral. Like it's giving that kind of moment of like you made some subtle shift or change or got clarity around something and you're heading in that direction and you acted on it and it's like boom, here you go. Like here's the fruit from the tree that you planted however long ago, right? Mercury is also direct now in your 11th house of social media. So now's the time to be sharing yourself. Now's the time to be putting your ideas out there. What did you get clarity around during the retrograde about how you want to do things differently? And it's time to take action on it because this is the time. This is the time to be putting yourself out there in new ways in your career or for your work or on social media or whatever it is. Like I don't know what else to say about that. It's pretty potent energy in terms of like creative stuff, and showing up and being seen. As we get into Tuesday, the moon moves into your seventh house over Saturn and Neptune. This is kind of like the energy of someone trying to emotionally reattach themselves within your relationships. So just again, pick your battles. If someone did you wrong and they're trying to like, just let it go. You don't need to have a 2-hour argument. Just let it go. Maybe vent about it on social media if that's your thing, if that's your niche, if that's your brand or whatever, or you want it to be. But I don't feel like it's the time to engage with the person. It could get pretty heated, and you could end up maybe doing things you regret. So but the emotional focus is middle of the week on your relationship. So yeah, I mean, just don't let them distract you, pull you away from what's happening within your career, because that's really where the major focus is right now for you, Libra. Is like, what are you putting out into the world for your reputation, to build your reputation for what you want to be known as? What are you sharing creatively? Like that's the focus. Don't let really anyone distract you from that and pull your energy away from that. I feel like that's the hugest lesson of Saturn Neptune in your seventh, Libra, is like don't let people pull you away from what you're building. As we get there could be something else that comes up around that on Wednesday and Thursday that maybe really emotionally heals you. It could be some emotional healing of a trigger or a wound that was kind of wrapped up into what's been happening within your relationships. It could be some internal shift that doesn't feel comfortable, but when afterwards, it's kind of like that energy of the breakthrough happens after the breakdown. Like it's not comfortable to feel feelings. It being a human being and having feelings that are so intense is like not easy. But afterwards you feel this like sense of relief and like clarity and like, oh, okay, that's why that was happening. You might also have the support of friends this week to help you with whatever's going on and to maybe give you the courage that you haven't had on your own with as it relates to whatever's happening there. Then early Thursday, the moon moves into Taurus into your eighth house. It's challenging Pluto and Mercury in your fifth and 11th. So again, there could be something that comes up that's maybe this deep emotional thing that really propels you to transform something deep within your subconscious, within your psyche. I mean, the South Node's in your 12th house, and we just had Mercury retrograde. So there's a lot of subconscious stuff coming up. There's a lot of clarity you're receiving around like just patternings in your subconscious from childhood, from past lives, if you believe in that, from all of this stuff, right? That's like compounding, and you're realizing how much it has been affecting you and getting clarity on how to change it, transform it so it doesn't keep showing up in the same ways. Then on Friday, the moon is going to harmonize with the Venus Jupiter conjunction. So again, this is kind of that energy of like you had this renewal and put it into something that's productive for you, something that's creative outlet, something that is like related to your work and your career and what you're building for yourself. Don't get dragged through the mud with people who aren't worth your time. There could be some big emotional breakthrough, clarity, innovation around that too, sudden shift, epiphany. So as we get into the weekend and the moon moves into Gemini in your ninth house and over Uranus, harmonizing with Mars and Pluto. Again, there could be this very big emotional renewal of like breakthrough. I'm so glad I didn't like let myself get stuck in that pattern again or whatever it is, and like you're just feeling this renewal and this big, maybe big emotional shift around how you're viewing life in general. Like your perspective and your philosophies of life are changing for the better. So that's your week ahead, Libra. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I will see you next week. All right, Scorpio rising, start the week off with the moon in your fifth house on the north node. This could give you some clarity around where you're headed creatively, like a creative passion you've been pursuing. This really feels like this emotional kind of emotional clarity and also rejuvenation, maybe of like inspiration towards whatever this is. The moon is also on Monday going to harmonize with Venus and Jupiter, which is in your ninth house. Um, this conjunction is really good for your viewing life differently and feeling more supported by life and feeling like kind of I don't know if you're familiar with the Course in Miracles, but it's this spiritual text that teaches miracles are normal and natural and they're supposed to be happening. And I almost feel like your faith is going to be renewed in some sort of way this week, be like related to that. Like I just feel like there's something gonna happen that's gonna happen that you're like, oh, life is really magical and miraculous, and you're gonna be reminded of that, and it could shift your perspective and how you're viewing the world around you. Mercury is now direct in your 10th house. So this could really have those ideas flowing of how what you want to do in your career, how you want to show up in your career, the changes you've been making and want to step into more so. This is the week to be doing that and really be taking that action. I feel like the past few weeks for you, Scorpio, have been about like putting yourself out there in ways that maybe you've been avoiding, and if like you just haven't felt the energy yet, I feel like this is going to bring that energy to you to really be taking action on it, especially Tuesday as the moon moves into your sixth house. You might have to deal with someone you deem as an enemy and be really stern with them. And it could really be feel really karmic and feel really like I have to be so stern with this. I have to be so almost like if you've ever talked to I feel like we've all had this experience of talking to somebody who just doesn't listen. They just don't get stuff and they only want to like project their narrative, and we have to be so like not repeating ourselves over and over and over. I feel like this is that energy for you, like midday Tuesday. There's something that you're gonna have to face. That's like no, you have to be really stern. You have to be really strict about it. Then as we get into Wednesday, the moon is still in your sixth house in Aries. It's challenging Venus and Jupiter in your ninth. So again, this could be that emotional energy of um challenge between your conflict between your new perspective of life and kind of where you've come from. I feel like it's very different. You've had this 180 of like, actually, I'm going to do this, and actually, I'm going to view life this way, and actually, this is how I want to live my life. This is how I want to view everything in the world around me. And it's very different from like maybe the people you surrounded yourself before, where you were, like the attitudes that everybody has. And it's almost kind of like you're like the black sheep in the herd, and you want to go off and do your own thing, and people are like, what the hell? But anyways, that's very specific. There could be something around that kind of is a wound or a trigger that's brought up emotionally early on Thursday or maybe late on Wednesday, that kind of has you it kind of boosts your confidence of like, no, I am doing the right thing, no, this is for me, and it's fine that I'm being seen as different by these people who don't really matter when it comes to like their opinions about what I'm doing anyways. You know what I mean? Not to say that people don't matter, just their opinions probably don't. As we get into later on Thursday, the moon moves into your seventh house, challenges Pluto and Mercury in your fourth and 10th. So there could be something that's challenging again between needing to set those boundaries with somebody in your family or your home around what you're doing for work. But again, it's this renewal of your sense of self and your identity and stepping into that and being firm and bold and courageous about who you have become. That's different than who you were. And people just have to accept it. It's very much this energy, Scorpio, for you this week is very much about like stepping into your confidence and very, what is that word? Like unabashedly, very ruthlessly stepping into you in new ways. Then on Friday, the moon is still in Taurus. It's on your seventh, it's in your seventh house. It's harmonizing with Venus and Jupiter in your ninth. So again, this could promote some sort of positive change as it relates to how you're viewing everything around you, your philosophies of life, your perspective, your belief systems. That is amplified by the fact that on Saturday, the moon is moving into Gemini over Uranus. There could be some big sudden breakthrough shift in your subconscious in just again like how you're viewing life. I feel like a broken record saying that over and over and over, but you really are viewing life so much differently than you ever have been. And it's happening at a very deep psychological level. So that's what we got for you, Scorpio. Big rebirth. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Sagittarius, we start the week off with the moon in your fourth house on the north node. You could be getting emotional clarity around your home in some way or family and what direction you're headed there, what you've been wanting to do within your home, within your family. It might be supported by resources or things like that. This kind of subconscious renewal of you as we have the Venus Jupiter conjunction in your eighth house, harmonizing with that. Mercury is now direct in your ninth house, which feels like a big transformation of your belief systems, your philosophies of life, your perspective of life, how you're viewing things around you. Also, the stories you're telling that are contributing to that. Big shifts early this week and kind of just, it's like this big epiphany and like, oh, why didn't I see it this way the whole time? You know what I mean? As we get into Tuesday, the moon moves into your fifth house over Saturn and Neptune. And it's going to be opposite Mars and Libra. So there could be some emotional friction between your community in some way around maybe a creative thing you want to do, a creative passion or project you want to take action on. There could also be some friction or tension between your romantic life in some way and what's going on with your community or your friend groups or your social media. As we get into Wednesday, the moon is going to challenge Venus and Jupiter in your eighth house. So there could be some, again, just emotional challenge or friction between what's going on with your resources or shared resources, investments, debt, taxes, things like that. It could feel like, again, this all kind of comes down to how you're viewing things, your mindset around stuff, and like what you're telling yourself as it relates to all of this. That's contributing to how you're experiencing it. As we get later into Wednesday and into Thursday, the moon is going to move over Chiron in your fifth house. There could be some wound that comes up around your sense of self or maybe identity as it relates to how you're showing up in your creative projects and pursuits. That maybe, again, it's like, oh, I didn't know this wound was like running the show as it relates to this thing. And you suddenly get the emotional clarity that it has been and how to kind of work with it, heal it, integrate some new relationship with it. As we get into Thursday, the moon moves into Taurus, into your sixth house. This could be a good time to kind of put your nail to the grindstone as it relates to work or organizing something, or just like putting work into something. But at first, there on Thursday, there could be some tension, friction, challenges between your ability to communicate what you're doing and what also is going on with like this change that's happening, transformation that's happening within your belief systems and your communication in general. There could also be a lot going on like physically movement wise with travel or with just where you need to go and who you need to talk to on a daily basis, like that is at odds with your ability to work on this thing that you need to. It's just like, it's like, okay, I'm so busy, like how do I organize all of this? I need to work on this, but how do I, it's like you're pulled in a million directions is what it feels like. So maybe meditate extra on Thursday. Then as we get into Friday, the moon's going to harmonize with Venus and Jupiter. I do feel like there's going to be this, okay, this is how I go about this differently, this emotional clarity around maybe how to organize your time better or something so that whatever happened on Thursday doesn't happen again in the same way and you're approaching it differently. Then as we get into the weekend, there could be some big shift emotionally or breakthrough within your relationships that is related to your community, your friend groups, maybe how you're showing up on social media, and also how you're communicating yourself and where you're going on a daily basis. It feels like this kind of instrumental change that just happens all of a sudden with maybe a relationship in your life that supports the other changes that are happening for you, Sagittarius. So that's the week ahead for you. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Capricorn, we start the week off with the moon in your third house on the north node. There could be some emotional clarity around your communication styles or just what you're doing, where you're going on a daily basis that maybe also supports some relationship changes or what's happening within your relationships. If you're single, you could meet somebody on a whim just by going to get coffee or something. That's for somebody. I don't know. Also on Monday, Mercury is now direct in your eighth house, so you might get clarity on what's going on with your finances, how to act on it, maybe any belief system stuff that was at play with your finances, your resources as well. Also already spoke to the Jupiter Venus conjunction we have on Monday, but that could create the opportunity to maybe meet somebody. I don't know. If you're a Capricorn rising and that was for you, like let me know in the comments because that's really cool. But either way, there's just this expansive, good supportive feelings coming in through other people in your life, whether it's romantic or not. But it very well might be romantic. Tuesday, the moon moves into your fourth house. I feel like you're going to be really focused on your home, whether that's moving or just organizing things, really kind of putting the nail to the grindstone. Is that what that's called? Or is that saying? I don't know. Of like what has been going on within your home that you've had to have a lot of discipline around. It feels like you're emotionally focused on wrapping that cycle up and starting anew in some way. But it could maybe pull you away from your career in a way that's frustrating temporarily. Then as we get into Wednesday, the moon harmonizes with the sun in your eighth house before it heads over Chiron. So there could be something that you get clarity around in your resources, your money related to your home in some way, related to what's going on with the changes in your finances, your career, and your work. And then when the moon moves over Chiron late Wednesday and into Thursday, there could be some emotional clearing that happens around triggers or wounds that maybe have been reoccurring in your home or your family life. You might get some emotional clarity around how to move forward from those so they don't keep playing out over and over and over. Thursday, the moon moves into your fifth house, into Taurus. It's going to challenge Pluto and Mercury in your area of finances and resources. So there could be, again, some emotionally challenging thing that happens around money or something like that, maybe tied to your creativity in some way or creative passion or project in some way. That doesn't feel super comfortable, but I do feel like it's going to transform just how you're viewing your long-term goals and your long-term visions. It may give you more clarity around those things and how to move forward differently. As we get into the weekend, on Friday, the moon, we have a third quarter moon in Taurus. It's going to be in your fifth house. This feels, again, really good for that clarity around what you're doing, how you're moving forward with creative passions and pursuits, and how it's affecting your money in a way that maybe you've gotten clarity around more specific goals or things like that on what you want to do or what you want to create and manifest there. As we get more into the weekend, Saturday, the moon moves over Uranus in your sixth house. There could be some revelation about your work and what you're doing on a daily basis, whether it's like this idea comes in or something comes to fruition through a conversation or something like that. And you get this emotional like rejuvenation, almost like this emotional innovation about how you want to make changes as it relates to your work and your career and your money. And it feels positive. It feels like the frustration and the challenges evolved you in the ways that you need to, and now you have the clarity to move forward on what you want to do and implement it. So that's the week ahead for you, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. I was about to say Pluto rising. Aquarius Rising, Pluto on your ascendant. Um, Monday's a big day. We have Mercury now direct in your seventh house. This might have provided you clarity around what's going on within your relationships. Um, we have Venus and Jupiter conjunct in your sixth house of work and physical health. So there might be clarity coming this week, especially maybe starting on Monday around what you're doing for work, what you're doing on a daily basis to feel supported with money, but also physically, like having this maybe better work-life balance of like, okay, I can't work myself to death just to make money. I need to also support myself because that's the point of having money is like to support myself. So I feel like you're getting this emotional clarity around all those things and the direction you want to head, maybe with something more creatively uh, inspired or spiritually related. This is the North Node and the Moon and Pisces in your second house, so there could be something again related to that you get emotional clarity around in your finances and your money and your work. As we get into Tuesday, the moon moves into your third house. This is like an emotional renewal as it relates to your communication styles. Maybe there's things you've had to really be discerning about saying to people, or this is weird energy. This is like I don't know why I'm getting this example. I never know why I get what I get, but it's like if you've been dealing with like rageful drivers whenever you drive somewhere, it's like there's going to be this light bulb of like I'm a rageful driver kind of thing, and not saying that anyone like that you are watching this, just as an example, okay? Um, it's like you shift something about how you're viewing life and the story that's in your head about something, and then you experience a change in your reality from that shift you had internally. That's this energy. It's kind of hard to describe, so I hope that makes sense. Um, it's also related to your work in some way. I don't know. It's like this renewal of you. This very big shift of like you that ripples out into your actual life and reality and changes things probably more quickly than you thought could change. On Wednesday, there's some sort of emotional support between that and somebody in your life. Now that Mercury is direct in your seventh house, I think there's going to be a lot more positive conversations that come around your relationships or that come through people towards what you're doing. Again, these are very specific things I'm getting, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let whatever's coming out around this because I normally wouldn't say anything like this about what I'm seeing. But this is what I'm getting. Okay, we're just gonna roll with it. Then later on Wednesday and into Thursday, the moon's gonna move over Chiron. So there could be something around that, like whether it's somebody in your life coming in that maybe gives you an idea around something, or you have a conversation with somebody. It could give you this clarity on how to move forward, but it could also trigger something within you that maybe doesn't come up till later. Maybe you're sitting with it, or maybe you'll have a deeper conversation or something, and there's this wound or trigger that reveals itself emotionally that you have to work through and overcome, especially as it relates to everything I was just talking about, like communication styles, the story you're telling yourself, how you're viewing life. Like it's very much like internal, like mindset stuff. Then as we get into Thursday, the moon moves into your fourth house. Maybe you need to retreat after all of that and spend more time at home for these next couple days, Thursday, Friday. Maybe like really purging possessions and really going through your house and being like, does this bring me joy? Like Marie Kondo kind of thing. um, it does feel like that could possibly benefit your career in some way. I don't know how those two things are related. Um, but it also feels challenging in terms of like you and your relationships. So maybe it's like if you live with somebody and you want to get rid of a lot of stuff, they're like, no, I don't want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of that. And you're like, well, I don't want to get rid of that. I want to get rid of this. And it's like this kind of like tug of war. So there has to be some sort of like common ground. Then as we get into Friday, we have the third quarter moon in Taurus in your fourth house. There could be some clarity around a move, around your home, possessions. Again, really having things in your life and even your home being something that really provides value to you. Do you really love it? Does it really bring you joy? If not, there needs to be changes there, and you will get clarity around how to implement those, what those are. Probably later in the day on Friday and into Saturday. Then early on Saturday, the moon moves into your fifth house over Uranus and Gemini, harmonizing with Mars and Pluto in your first and ninth. So this again could be this very big emotional renewal as it relates to how you're communicating you, your identity, your appearance, your philosophies of life, and also how that's affecting your creative passions and pursuits and projects. So it's like this momentum is building to have this big breakthrough and innovation that maybe comes through in a way you did not expect over the weekend. So that's the week ahead for you, Aquarius. Come back and let me know how that shows up in your real life. And I'll see you next week. All right, Pisces Rising. We start the week off the moon in your first house on the North Node. This could be an emotional renewal of you, of where you're headed, of feeling this kind of recharged or refreshed energy as it relates to like where you're going, what you're doing, and directly related to your sense of self, your identity, how you're viewing you. Um, then as we get into Tuesday, the moon moves into your second house over Saturn and Neptune. There could be something emotionally that comes up around money, maybe needing to kind of structure it differently or really just get real with yourself about what you want to do with your money or where you want it to go, or the kind of plan that maybe has been evolving around it. Now that Mercury is I keep wanting to say now that Mercury is retrograde, but now that Mercury is not retrograde, there is this clarity, this mental clarity around your work, what's going on there, the changes you want to make, especially related to money as well. And also early in the week, Monday and Tuesday, we have the Venus Jupiter conjunction in your fifth house. So there, again, I keep saying renewal. Like I feel like a broken record saying renewal so many times. But that's really this energy of this renewal of creativity, of inspiration, of your passions, and this kind of coming back home, coming out of a fog, coming back home to what really matters to you after so much time having to deal with bullshit is the best way I can put it. Then on Wednesday, the moon harmonizes in your second house with the sun in your sixth. So again, there could be some clarity emotionally that comes through on your money related to your work, but there could also be some money wound that comes up after that later on Wednesday and into Thursday. Something triggering around money or resources in general that comes up for you to look at and work through, kind of like this emotional breakthrough moment of like, oh, I didn't know that that was still in me, that I still had this belief that my mom told me when I was 2, and I just have believed it ever since, but now I'm realizing like that's not actually true, that kind of thing. As we get into Thursday, later on Thursday, the moon's going to move into Taurus in your third house. There could be some challenging conversation you have to have, maybe with yourself, but maybe around like being disciplined in your work, your day-to-day kind of stuff. There could be something too that comes up around your mental health. Again, these cycles that have been repeating from your subconscious that you don't want to keep playing out, and so you get emotional clarity through some challenge or conflict on how to make those changes to that. Then on Friday, we have the third quarter moon in Taurus in your third house. This is the energy of really wrapping up whatever maybe came up with the full moon, implementing it, integrating it. Again, it's kind of all about your talk, your self-talk, the stories in your head, your mindset, your belief system, and how that's rippling out to create the world around you and the way you live your life. There could be some further breakthrough around that on Saturday as the moon's going to move over Uranus in your fourth house. This could be related to your home, maybe changes you've been making there or wanting to make, or within your roots, your foundation, that are also maybe related to those childhood things or those belief systems or those patterns that you have been wanting to shift and have been shifting. There could be an emotional breakthrough and innovation and really big change around all of that on Saturday. Really Saturday into Sunday, kind of like a weekend theme. So that is the week ahead for you, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. I feel like the word for this week is renewal. I like take a shot, have a drinking game, take a shot every time I said renewal. Hey, Goddess Retrieval, if you're still here. Okay, well, that is the energy for the week ahead. Feels like renewal, feels like rejuvenation. I'm really excited. I hope you are too. Let me know how your horoscope resonates with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Love you guys.